Hi, welcome to Maidstone Pokemon. We've been writing some articles on the website recently, and this is the first one we're doing as a video. It's one we've already covered in the article that we did called Hoth. As you, those of you who've read the bits and pieces I put up on the website, I actually didn't want to call this deck Hoth. I wanted to call it something entirely different. I want to call it Cool Hand Luke, after the film from back in the 60s. We got told by a few people that no one would know what I was talking about, so it finished up with the name it currently has now. You might wonder why we called it Hoth. Well, obviously it's a Star Wars reference, and it's mainly because of this guy here. This is Lucario, or Luke as I like to call him, and because we've got Luke as the main character, and then we've got a whole host of stuff. Alolan Vulpix there, looking very cute, and we've got Ninetales, and we've got Glaceon. So all of the support cards that we've got are Ice types. So we've got Luke and Ice, which obviously, if you're a Star Wars buff, immediately means we've got Hoth. Not that many Pokemon in this deck. Obviously, we've got the chain that leads to Lucario, so we've got 4 of Rioli. He doesn't actually do anything really, other than sits there and waits to evolve. It's very rare we use anything on him, the double smash or whatever. So he's just there, means to an end, to get Lucario onto the board. The only other card we've not covered as of yet is a bit of a late game puncher. That's Cobalion. He comes in if you're losing the game. He can turn the tide quite drastically with Revenge Blast. For just 2 metal energy, you can finish up quite often doing 180 or 150 damage. So he can take down. Not quite so effective now we've got GX in the game, but when there was just EXs, that was definitely a big tail thing. I ran a similar deck to this for quite a while, but not a water version. It was an expanded deck that featured fighting types. So it ran Carbinks to deal with the EXs, and it ran some other bits and pieces that were different from what we've got here. But obviously I wanted to make this a standard format deck, so that's why we finished up going down the water route. And Ninetales, if you're building a budget deck, he's a great card at the moment. If you can't afford to get all your GXs and some of the EXs that you see in the top decks, the cost of this deck as a whole is probably the same as 1 Tapu Lele, maybe even less. And certainly online it's very, very cheap to build. The hardest card to get online out of this lot would be the Ninetales. The rest of them are fairly easy to acquire. Right, let's look at the cards that go with this. This one here is a card that won't make many decks. Captivating Pokepuff. That's there. When people realise what you're doing with Lucario, they tend to hold back. So you can go in for a big hit because you've got fewer on your bench than they have. And then the next one will maybe take that down in 1 hit or 2 hits. But then they don't play any other Pokemon. So you're left one-on-one with Pokemon that are much better than yours. So Captivating Pokepuff, particularly after you've played a copy of N, is really good because it means that you can put some stuff from your opponent's hand onto the bench and ramp up the damage that Lucario is going to do again. So we like this a lot, but it is a case of knowing when to use it. Quite often you'll use it, and if you miss, it does feel bad. I've got a couple of the hammers in there. I'm probably put hammers into pretty much most decks that I run. So you've got 1 enhance for the special energies that are floating around at the moment, and you've got 1 crushing, or 2 crushing I should say. They're there just to slow your opponent down, take out those energies, and allow you to control what's going on in the gameplay a little bit more. A few others I'll just skirt past. Energy retrievals just for late game, for getting hold if you need the blue energy for the Ninetales or the metal energy for your Lucarios. You can fetch what's already in the graveyard. Eva Soda, that's pretty effective because we've got a couple of copies of Skylar in there. She's a supporter down here. This is Skylar. And she searches your deck for a trainer card. Quite often a good turn 2 play is if you haven't got the Lucario in hand but you've already got the Riolu, you can pop her on the board, go get an Eva Soda, and because that's an item card, you can play that straight away and evolve your Riolu. If you've got the 2 energy already, if it's turn 2, then you can be swinging for a lot of damage if they haven't realised what you're doing when they've done setup, if they put a lot of things on the bench. Nest Ball, fairly obvious, it's a staple in lots of decks, so it gets the one you need if you need a Vulpix or you need a Riolu, or if you're playing against a lot of evolution Pokemons, then we go back to this guy here. This guy in some games is a real MVP. He's a lot of the time I won't be wanting to put him on the board, but if I see my opponent has got, you know, a load of GXs that are, or even, you know, there's quite a lot of Vicavolts floating around at the moment that have been a bit annoying. So the Glaceon is an addition that I very much like. With a lot of the budget decks, you have to run kind of a toolbox, and it's a lot harder to do now we haven't got VS Seeker in the mix with for standard. So in a lot of games, it's always a case of you don't tend to have many one-offs and so on. But in this deck, I've got quite a few one-offs. Random Receiver to retrieve stuff from the graveyard, Ultra Ball to fetch the Pokemon that you need at the time. Brooklet Hill, just the one stadium in this deck. That fetches either a water or a fighting Pokemon, so pretty much apart from Lucario, but then it doesn't fetch, he only fetch basics and puts on the bench, so it covers pretty much everything that's in the deck. It certainly covers all the basics, so there isn't a basic it can't hit. Guzma, this is a big key to the success of the deck. He can actually put you in a situation when you're in a situation where you can take something out, but you want to take out an EX or a GX when you've got the advantage they've got more things on their bench than you. You can make it that Lucario can target and take down the bigger enemies that they're holding back. Also, at the end of the day, he's probably one of the coolest looking supporters. I do love Guzma, the look they've got on him. I've no idea what he's like in the cartoon, having never watched it, or the game, or where he comes from. But it is a good looking card. Right, Sycamore, don't need to say much about that. Pokemon Center Lady, again, just a one-of. Kukui, a one-of. Just that little bit of extra damage. A couple of choice bands. I do have to say that my expanded version I run muscle bands, and I much prefer the muscle bands because of the fact they get the damage increase against every Pokemon rather than just against a certain type. But when you try and take down GX or EX Pokemon, the extra 30 damage does obviously come in handy. I'm still not sure. I've got three of these in here at the moment. I'm not sure that's not too many, because I do find myself wanting this guy. Bodybuilding dumbbells more often than not, so I might change this out to get 2 dumbbells and 2 of the choice bands. The energy mix is we've got 2 double colourless. That's just to help out with the Ninetales and the Glaceon. We've got 3 water, and we've got some rainbow energy in here. The reason for the rainbow energy is because of this card here, Ace Roller. The fact that we can put a rainbow energy on, put 10 damage, and we can bounce a card. We get the energy back, but that does mean again that quite often means we can create a disparity in the board, the number that we've got on the bench from either side, and that again will increase the damage that Lucario can produce. Right, that's pretty much the deck. If you want to check out the list and have it all so you can have a look at, then if you go to www.pokemonmaidstone.com and look in the articles, you can find the full deck list on the article entitled Hoth. Right then, so on with the first game. Okay, pressing play and looking for opponent. Right, my opponent's got that advantage, and it's a straight out water deck. That's interesting. Don't see too many of those. Just straight water. That's unless maybe the Keldeo Blastoise deck that's been floating around. We'll see. Or maybe we'll get something original. I said I do much prefer when you get to see decks that you've not encountered before. But that's not an ideal start. We're mulliganing straight off the bat. This deck does have a tendency to mulligan quite a bit. There's not a huge basic count, so you do quite often find that you are dropping the cards back in and redealing it, but it's only taken one attempt to get a basic, so hopefully we'll get a Riolu. We have. That's always good. I would have preferred a Vulpix, but sometimes that can do the job, so I'm just going to play that until we get a suss of what's going on with the board. Right, we've got a Staryu and a Remoraid, so there's an Octillery probably following fairly shortly. Give him some cards. Let's see what Bridget's fetching. Could be the Golduck deck, maybe. That's a budget deck I quite like. Yeah, we got Golducks. because there's 3 Psyducks sitting in a row. We've got the ducks all in a row. Kind of makes the Ninetales redundant in this game, this matchup, in which case, so we'll hit the heads, and what we will do, this is kind of playing into his hand. The Brooklet Hill obviously is kind of playing into the hand of my opponent. Now I've got absolutely diddly at the moment, as far as what I can play. So I am going to pop one of these on the bench. The only reason I'm doing that is because obviously I don't want to get one shot, but with the fact we've got a number of Pokemon on my opponent's bench, it does mean that Lucario's attack will still be effective. What I am going to do, though, is get myself a little Vulpix. Could retreat, Rolu. I'd leave myself energyless, which is not a great situation to be in. But it would allow me to fetch the Lucario. We might give that a go and hope. This is because we're not in a good situation regardless. We're going to stick the Staryu out there. I think it's got no retreat cost, so maybe we won't. Maybe we'll stick a Remoraid out, and we'll bring out the Vulpix. We can always obviously evolve that next turn, but we can get ourselves a Lucario, and because we know that he's running Golduck, this guy here, the Glaceon, suddenly seems that much more of a good choice. So that's those two, and we're going to hope that we can get something to refill our hand with energy very shortly. A Sycamore would be nice, or an N, or something along those lines. I don't really want to drop the Glaceon just yet, but I kind of probably will finish up having to. Either that or he'll make us dump our hand with an N of his own. There's the Golduck, and he's ultra balling for another one. I do like this. It's a deck I really enjoy. If he gets a Manaphy or something down, then obviously you can retreat this without any cost. I guess I was hoping for, because he just made his retreat cost that much harder now. Right, this is the little trick that we talked about earlier on. We're going to drop this energy here. That puts 10 damage on the Vulpix. We're then going to evolve the Vulpix. The reason for that is at any point in time when we hit another energy later on, we can just Acerola this back. The Lucario comes into play, and obviously we can hit for a lot of damage with this many Pokemon on the bench. For the moment though, this Ninetales is just going to sit there in front of his auxiliary while he draws cards. So we'll just down on the end of the turn and hope we get some more card draw over the next couple of turns. Another energy on the Golduck, and a Choice Band on the Golduck. Choice Band's fairly ineffectual against us. Right, he's played an N. Okay, that's got rid of the Acerola, so that's not such a good situation for us to be in. And it's got rid of our Glaceon. We've got Metal Energy, so we can Guzma. So what I am going to do is try and get rid of the energy on his other Golduck. If we can get rid of the energy on his other Golduck. No, we haven't. Slightly annoying. We will random receiver. Maybe we'll hit into an Acerola that way. No, we've hit a Pokemon Center Lady. Okay, so we're seeing all the cards we don't want to see. We can Guzma in. The only problem is if we Guzma in, this Golduck then is going to come along and absolutely floor us and we're going to be left with nothing with energy on. So we're not in an ideal situation as it stands. I'm possibly going to... We've got enough to take out his things regardless. We're going to pop another Iolo on the bench. And then we are going to use Guzma. We might as well try and do something. Just sitting there is just making ourselves a target. So let's bring the Golduck in. Let's bring Luke in. And we can fight alone. Obviously, once we've lost one of our things, we can use... This is the Brooklet Hill still kicking about. We can obviously get that Glaceon back at some point. So, fight alone. Take down that Golduck. But so you're probably going to see his Golduck come back and smack Lucario in return. He only needs to do 120 damage. It's not a huge amount. It's only 2 cards from his hand. Helplessly powerful attack for one energy cost on your Pokemon. Obviously, you've got the additional cost of discarding. But there's plenty of ways of retrieving in this deck. So let's get rid of Golduck off the screen. Sorry, guys. Let's move my mouse out of the way so I don't keep getting things in the way. Timer Balls, Starmie and Golduck. The Starmie is great. This is a fantastic little card. Let's evolve. We'll get it up on screen. Hopefully there. Discard a card. Get energy back. So all he's got to do is drop one of these to fuel his Golducks. Now he's got 2 more Golducks sitting there, and they're going to constantly come out. We're not looking good for this game whatsoever. We're going to choose the Ninetales to come out. I would love to see an Ace Road on that. So I'm going to pop this on here. And we are going to end. Kind of regret not using the end first, but when you had energy in hand, it's always the way to go in that respect. Cause I could have used the double energy on here and hit this for a few, but never mind. As it goes, got a rescue stretcher there. We can always get back a couple of cards. We can get the Lucario back, and we can put them back in the deck, and then fetch it out with Brooklet Hill. So yeah, that's kind of us done. If he uses anything that switches our deck, like our benched Pokemon with our active Pokemon, we could be in a lot of trouble right now. I do need to get myself a Glaceon and a double colourless. This is the deck I'm up against is a kind of deck to my own heart here. I do like those decks. But at the moment we're kind of matching in prize card for prize card. We've got good thing about this one, you can't necessarily one-shot this one, which gives us an extra turn. Do something with it. We've got a blue energy in there, so I'm going to hopefully he doesn't end, and we'll get the energy back from there next turn. I don't want to waste it now, so we'll just take out his Golduck for now. Like I said, matching hit for hit, but it does get harder. as their bench gets smaller. And there's very little else in his deck. Oh, he's put one down. He's made. He said he just made the task easier by dropping another Psyduck onto the bench. Not that it matters because this Lucario is about to die, and we haven't got an answer for it this next turn. Stick a Cobalion out, and let's go on the bench. Time for the energy retrieval. So we're getting the water back, and we're getting the energy back. It's going to get dumped in a second, so we are going to this on here. Obviously, if this was a basic, we could stick a metal energy on Cobalion and give us a bit of breathing space, but that's not to be. Now I'm trying to think if there's anything I can get with Skylar that's going to help. It's going to keep this Cobalion alive. There's not. So we are going to Sycamore and try and hit that double colourless. There's one of them. Let's just hope he doesn't end. Okay, so let's say done there. So the Cobalion's about to die. One of the ways they'll play around with the Glaceon once we've got the energy on there is to put him on the bench who doesn't get to use his Crystal Ray attack and force us to find a way to retreat. So I would like to get hold of a Guzma right now. So if they do try being a bit tricksy, we can find a way to get the Glaceon back out so you can attack with the Ray every turn. Obviously that will protect him from, well, apart from the he's just evolved the duck, so apart from the Starmie, that will protect him from everything's on his bench at the moment. So although we're losing, I don't really want to play anything else on the bench because obviously that means he's got extra things he can take out. So as from now, I am going to just rely on Glaceon to do some work for me. As I said at the start when we were looking at the card list, the number of times this card has saved me is, yeah, quite a few. Right, we're going to end. We're going to dump some cards, but he's going to go down to 2. We've also got Ace Roller, so if he does manage to get some damage through, we can always bounce his back. He's not going to one-shot this. So let's hit him with some Crystal Ray. Also missed the trick on that turn. I really should have played Lucario and dropped. So I couldn't play the energy because I was playing the double colourless, but should have been doing that. He's discarding with the Space Beacon, getting 2 blue energy. And nothing. We like that sound. Put us almost back to parity. But once again, we've got the Crystal Ray effect, so if he does bring out a gold duck, then he can't actually do anything with that. Pokemon Ranger's not in the game anymore. Oh, it is in the game. I forgot that that's one still is. That's exactly what he needed. That's going to do some serious damage. So he's going to be able to hit us for 120. Now, I don't really want to risk him having another one, access to another one of those, so we're going to bounce the Glaceon, which is risky. And we're going to put this on the bench. Now I could have put the Metal Energy on the Lucario, but that would have finished up with us losing, not being able to get the double colourless on here. A Crushing Hammer would be very, very bad for us right now. We don't want to see that. He's going to double jet the Lucario. And we're going to be left with just one prize card, as far as that's all he'll need. So yeah, Pokemon Ranger again. He does need 2 hits, so... This is why, as I said at the start, I much preferred the Muscle Band to the Choice Band, because obviously the Muscle Band, they'll be taking down these Golducks in one shot. And there's a Guzma, so that's us in problems again. It's going to do 120 damage again. And... I think we repeat the process. He's got 7 cards left. I'm curious, really, as to why that's there. Okay. As I said, another Pokemon Ranger and he's sorted. But it's a risk we'll have to take. Alright, it's Guzmud. So we've got Lucario, which he could have done this last time, but obviously he was thinking he was down to 5 cards, so if he has got a card that's an answer to the Glaceon, he kind of needs to find it quick. With only 1 prize card left, that we can't put anything on the bench. We've just got to hope that he hasn't got a way of dealing with this. Or perhaps he's hoping that we'll make a mistake and go for a second bite as an accidental click. I don't know. So, Crystal Ray. That's the last Golduck. Oh, no, he's still got the one on the bench. So we've got rid of that. Okay, he's going to smack me to death with a Staryu. That's 40 damage. That'll leave me on 10. 10 health left on the Glaceon. Okay, that Pokemon Center lady that I've just pulled is suddenly looking very, very nice. We'll play that and we'll heal that Glaceon up. And we shall use Crystal Ray again, so that will protect us from the Golduck that's on the bench. Take out the Staryu. We're down to 1 prize card apiece, so regardless of what, it's been a very good game, I've got to be honest. I've enjoyed this one. Some of the games you get on here can be a little bit, they're either done really quickly or you're up against a deck that you see all the time, and it's just, this is nice to see someone running a deck that doesn't run a whole host of GXs. Requires a bit of thought on how you play the game. So, bit of time here. I guess he's thinking about what he's going to put out there. And I say, I think unless he's got a another Pokemon Ranger, we're probably going to be okay. But never want to count your chickens. So this takes 2 hits. Ah, there's that Staryu again. And he's just put some cards back in his deck because he was down to nothing. We're drawing the 1 card. And he smacked us again. So yeah, we're he just wanted to do extra damage. Little I think that deserves a well played back. Nice opponent. And we'll Crystal Ray for the game. Finish that off. And there's the last prize card.